friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin, and I am so excited that you decided to take time out of your day to spend with me because today we are doing a cozy, witchy reading vlog. I feel like I just wanted to start the year off with some good vibes, and I love witch books. I feel like I hadn't, really just honed in on them in a good little minute. So yeah, I decided to pick up some witchy reads, and hopefully that will give my year a good jump start. So let's just go ahead and hop into these books. We read the Woodsmoke Women's Book of Spells by Rachel Greenlaw. And in this, we follow Carrie Morgan, who ran away from Woodsmoke 10 years ago, and the decision has haunted her ever since. She spends a decade painting and drifting around Europe, and she tries to forget her family's legacy and the friends she left behind. But the Morgan women have always been able to harness the power of the mountains surrounding their town, and their spells and curses are sown into the soil. The mountains, they say, never forget. When Carrie's grandmother dies and leaves behind a dilapidated cottage, she returns to renovate, certain she will only be there for one winter. As the temperature dips, she meets Matthew, a newcomer who offers to help refurbish the cottage. Before long, and despite warnings of the old stories from her great aunt Cora, Carrie finds herself falling for the charming stranger. But when the frost thaws in spring, Matthew goes missing. Carrie is convinced he's real and he's in danger. As she fights her way across the mountains to find him, she must confront all the reasons she left Woodsmoke and decide whether the place she spent the last decade running from is the home she's been searching for. So in this, we have three POVs. We have, of course, Carrie, we have her great aunt Cora, and then we have Carrie's ex-best friend, Jessie? Which one is it, honey? Jess. So there's this old tale situation that says, oh, here it is on the back. There is an old tale woven through the mountain town of Woodsmoke about a stranger who appears as the first snow falls in winter and disappears without a trace as the frost thaws in spring, leaving behind a broken heart. That is what Cora thinks is currently happening to Carrie. She doesn't think that Matthew is real, and so she's trying to warn her. And then Jess is involved in this because it's a small town, and Carrie coming back kind of has upset the balance. There was this big thing that happened between Carrie, Jess, and another person in their friend group, and so Carrie being back kind of just brings up all the what ifs and the hurt feelings, and that's what we're hearing from Jess, who decided to stay in Woodsmoke. And then, of course, Cora, who wants to pass down all the traditions of the Morgan women to Carrie, and Carrie is trying to decide whether she wants to stay in Woodsmoke and accept all of her responsibilities as a Morgan woman, or if she's just going to sell her grandmother's house and also convince everybody that Matthew is real. So, for starters, I definitely thought that this was going to be more cozy than it actually was. This is creepy and eerie. It gives like wintry, of course, wintry mountain town, and it just gives that eerie feeling. You know what I'm saying? And I thought it was going to be cozy. I was a little confused about the situation with the mountains. I feel like it was kind of explained, but it wasn't cleared up to me how the mountains hold this magic. I guess we're just supposed to accept that as is and not really kind of go into the how and what of it all, even though there is no explanation of why specifically the Morgan women can kind of harness this magic in the mountains. So that was kind of confusing to me as well, and I don't really think that it was fully explained in this at all. This book feels like a fever dream, and you don't really know what's real and what's not. And that's the point, because when you're in Carrie's POV, she doesn't know what's real and what's not. And so you're trying to work through that alongside her. And it's just very like mind trippy in my opinion. And let's just talk about how all of these characters are messy and they get way too involved in other people's lives. And I get that that is like a trait of a small town, like everybody's in everybody's business, but the way that these people were meddling in other people's lives, like it's just it's not okay. And they were doing unforgivable things. And I just I wouldn't talk to anybody. I didn't like anybody. I wasn't a fan of anybody. I think the person that I kind of liked the most was Carrie, but she was still annoying to me in a way. But Jess and Coral could got like they need somebody to bop them upside the head, because the things that they were doing and messing around with was just unnecessary, rude, and way too much for me. Unforgivable, honestly. I wasn't really sure how I was feeling about this book as I was reading it, but you know, and I honestly probably, hindsight being 2020, should have DNF'd this book. But something in me just wanted to see how it was going to end, how it was going to wrap up, if something was going to turn it around for me. And unfortunately, that did not happen. And I ended up rating this book a 2 star. So, my first book of 2026, a flop. I hope that is not a forewarning of what's to come for the rest of 2026, because baby, we can't be doing we can't be doing this. Oh no, this just not it wasn't it didn't give what I wanted it to give, and unfortunately I didn't love it. And I will be unhauling this book and putting it on my Pango that is always listed in the description. So yeah, no, let's try again and hopefully run up on something better. Alright, y'all, it's time to talk about An Unlikely Coven by A.M. Kvita. And in this, we're following Joan, who has returned to New York after 7 long years, but unfortunately, her family forgot. Overshadowing her return is the news that someone has created a spell that can turn an ordinary human into a powerful witch, threatening the Greenwood's place at the top of the magical world. So when her best friend confesses that he has secretly accidentally kidnapped this human turned witch, Joan is thrust headfirst into a desperate race against her family to undo the spell before it does permanent damage to its unwilling host. Okay, y'all, let's talk about this. First off, I love a queer normative world, and this is that. Like, I absolutely fell in love with that. I love that Joan is a very relatable main character, and just the way that she moves through life and how she deals with her family drama and their expectations. I definitely feel like I could relate to Joan and how she feels, and also that Joan just feels like such a sweetheart that I wanted to punch everybody in her family in the face. Because why are y'all treating her like this? Just because she's a little different. She's just a little different. I found myself giggling and laughing my butt off as I was reading this. I thought this was hilarious. The humor in this was great, and I didn't think it would be as funny as it was. But I'm glad that I, got a kiki from this. One thing that I don't feel like was really fully fleshed out, and because this is a series, I hope that we'll learn more about it, and that is the witch's magic and how it works. I feel like it's definitely different from any kind of like witchy powers that I have read before, but I'm just still a little confused as to what's happening with that, and maybe we'll get more information on how that works in the sequels coming up, but that was my only thing. But honestly, like the way that I don't know, it didn't dampen the book for me at all. I guess is what I'm trying to say. I was a little confused by the magic, but it didn't take me out of the story at all. I feel like I just really love the found family in this, and how Joan kind of realized, like, my family doesn't even go as hard for me as these people. Some of them I've just met, and like that's what family actually is. And I really love this. Like, I bought it because I think I would like it, but I fell in love with this, with these characters, and I'm so happy that this is a series that I can be back with these people and see what's gonna happen, because that ending was a little. Mm-hmm, it was a little, yeah. I rated this a 4.5 star. It wasn't a full five for me because like there were things like, okay, yeah, the magic was a little iffy. There was some parts where I was just like, mm, but 4.5, probably, very likely going to be one of my favorite books of 2026. Maybe, hopefully, we'll see. But it was very promising, and definitely a welcome change after what happened with me in that first book for it. Like, yeah. This gave me what I was looking for when I set out to read witchy books. When I decided I was going to do this vlog, this right here is what I was looking for. But this is on the cozy fanny side. Cozy fanny? What? This is on the cozy fantasy side. So if that's your thing, or if it's not, should kind of, let you know which way to lean when picking this up. But yeah, friend, this is so good. I loved everything. Yeah. Yeah. Alrighty, it is time to talk about Debate and Decadence by Sula Sullivan. And in this, we are, let me get it together. We are following Amaya, who, like any good mysterious witch, seldom ventures further than the woods that surround her cottage. She fills her days with foraging, spell testing, and reading. Amaya would happily spend all her days and nights curled up with a steaming mug of tea or playing her harp. Anything would be preferable to trying to contain Rue, the chaotic runaway bride who suddenly appears on her doorstep, insisting that they are fated mate. Rue is determined to take charge of her life, and by extension, Amaya's. She's convinced all she has to do is miss her own wedding, learn how to cook a decent stew, and show Amaya what fate has in store. First of all, this is a very cute, whimsical, fantastical situation. So, if you are looking for anything that is like serious, this isn't it. Like, there are some topics discussed, like, but not, it's not serious. And I absolutely loved that. It was short and it was sweet, and it just like was able to take me out of this world, because sometimes when you're reading, you're like very aware that you're still here, but then sometimes you're like so immersed that you don't even feel like you're here anymore. Like, I felt like I was in there in the book, just standing and watching it happen. And I really enjoyed that. There was a scene where Rue was doing Amaya's hair, and it was just cute to say. It was the cutest thing. I love seeing, Black women's hair being seen as like care, if that makes sense. But anyway, yeah, I thought that was super cute. And then it look, the way Rue came into this book and like took over Amaya's life, and just like made herself at home. Like, the second she popped up on the scene, I was like, wait a minute, wait, you taking me too fast. Also, like, why are you so comfortable so quick? Like, you don't even know me, fam. And she was just such an interruption to Amaya and to me. But I was like, okay, I get why, because like that's the point. And it all made sense, but it just took me a minute because I'm like, girl, you may be doing too much. But then you just kind of realize like that's just actually who she is, and eventually find it enduring. Endearing. And okay, so I did learn something about myself in this book because it's happened a couple times. And I thought it was just like a fluke situation. But I think this time kind of confirmed for me that when creatures have tails and their tails like instinctually wrap around the person who's their person, why is that the cutest thing to me? Like, it's just something so small. I just think it is the cutest thing because it's not something like that they can control. It's just like a natural, like, affection type thing. And I'm just like, that is so cute. Obsessed. So that is officially like microtrope top tier for me because, yeah, yeah. But anyway, I ended up giving this a 3.5 star. I really enjoy this and I do look forward to reading more of Sula Sullivan. I just, I don't know. Like I said, it was cool. I wanted a little more probably. If this had been longer, I think it probably could have been like really highly ranked. It just wasn't enough for me in the short span of what we got. And, that's just what happens sometimes with novellas, And yeah, I think that's all I have to say about that. So it is time for us to wrap up this witchy reading vlog and call it a day. So let me get it together, friend. Let me make sure I ain't lying. Started off with a flop, unfortunately, and that was the Woodsmoke books. Nope. The Woodsmoke Women's Book of Spells by Rachel Greenlaw. That was a 2-star. And then we read An Unlikely Coven by A.M. Kvita and redeemed ourselves with a 4.5 star. And we ended off with Debate and Decadence by Sullivan being a 3.5 star. So friends, we was looking a little rocky at first, but then we got it together by the end. And so I am super happy that I decided to do this. It was just very comforting to me and I had a good time. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, anything that you do to support me and my channel. Friend, I greatly appreciate it. I hope you have the best day that you possibly can, and remember to take care of yourself, especially with everything that is going on in our country right now. It is just disheartening, it's frustrating, it's scary, it's sad, and while you just be sure you're taking care of yourself emotionally and mentally and all the things, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.